Good morning, everybody. This is Dave Baldwin with the Introverts in Business podcast, brought to you by the Center for Excellence. And today I am at Abundant Marketing, and we have our guest is Ashley Morrison, the founder and CEO of Abundant Marketing. And she's going to share with us her experiences starting up her own social media business. So before we get into that, Ashley, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yeah, I'd love to. First and foremost, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. I am the president, founder, wearer of many hats at Abundant Marketing. We are a small business marketing firm is what we brand ourselves as now. We got started with social media marketing in May of 2014. We're just passionate about serving small businesses and small business owners who don't have the time to handle their own marketing.
Excellent. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what made you initially decide to start your own business and get into all this stuff?
Yeah. So funny story, when I was growing up, my dad always told me, don't work for the man. And so I went to NC State. I graduated in May of 2013, and I did just that. I tried to go work for the man. And I had quite a few positions I worked in and had a lot of fun with those, but I saw that I was growing other people's business, and I thought, why don't I grow a business for myself? So as I was interviewing, I heard a lot of people ask me or say things along the lines of, I'd love to have you handle my social media, but I can't afford to have one person doing that. And so I started asking the questions of, are there other competitors in the industry that are serving small businesses? And I found that while there's a lot of marketing companies, there weren't a lot serving small business owners specifically. So that kind of made that quick bridge for me.
So now can you talk a little bit about when you said you wanted to specifically serve small businesses, what did you find as the need or the niche or the sweet spot where you thought there was a good opportunity to get into there?
Yeah, so the person who actually started the idea in my head, it's her and her husband, and they own an awards company in Cary, and it's her, at that point it was her husband, her dog on staff as well, and one designer. And it was a very small operation, and she had so much opportunity, and I saw that she had so much opportunity, but just never had the time. And she was actually trying to hire somebody as a designer, an operations person, and a marketer, and there was many facets that she needed handled, and that many facets is kind of where I saw the need. And then I started talking to more local business owners a lot in downtown Apex and downtown Cary, and I saw a very similar issue.
And I've noticed for a long time that a lot of times small business owners try to market themselves the way big businesses do, and unfortunately those solutions are cost prohibitive, because for a business that doesn't have thousands of dollars a month to spend, and it seems like sometimes the small business owners will try to scale down that budget to a small amount and end up buying something that based on what they can afford, and it doesn't necessarily work. So I've kind of always had the impression that it takes a different type of solution fundamentally. So I guess the question I have for you is, what have you found to be the most effective in terms of whether it's social media or other tools for getting business for small business owners?
Yeah, that's a big problem that I've seen, and a lot coming out of a major university, we were taught marketing on a corporate scale. So when people come out of college, they don't really understand how to market for a small business, and that was a big problem. And luckily, I got to work in small businesses, and that kind of helped me with that. But it's a very different animal. What we tell every small business owner is they need something online and something offline. So whether that's Facebook ads, which we love Facebook ads, I think they're phenomenal. And so many of my businesses are succeeding because of that. But you can't just be online, because we all know, we've all got the relatives that are like, I'm not getting on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, or I'm on that platform, but I'm not getting on any others. And so we can't hit everybody in an online format, so you gotta have that offline as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like Facebook ads, and I've also found that sometimes for the right businesses, Google pay-per-click can be really good. But what I like about them personally is the fact that you can target so specifically which audience you want to reach. You can track how many people saw it versus traditional media. The only thing you can tell is how many times the phone rang, but there's nothing to track up to that point.
Yeah. Well, when I talk to people, it's funny, because I'll sit down with a commercial painter, and they look at me and they're like, I want to just paint people who have a lot of money. And I'm like, so you want the people who work high level in SaaS and Cisco and IBM and companies like that? And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. And I was like, I can target people based off their job and where they work. I can say I only want director of operations and CEOs to be the people who we're marketing to. And they're always astounded by that. And most of the time we don't drill down that far into marketing and targeting, but
you can. That's
but we
point.
Have the ability
the
to,
and it's allow you to do that.
And it's very accurate, and that's the best part.
Yeah, I think the genius part about Facebook is they've gotten people to upload all their personal information and all that demographic type of stuff, including where they work, what hobbies they have. So I wanted to address some of the more kind of back to the business level questions. As you know, podcast is designed for introverts out there who are thinking about starting their own businesses, maybe have started their own businesses, and kind of like what I had said about before, the more traditional advertising methods not working as well for small businesses. I personally have found since starting my business in 2007 that a lot of the advice I got about how to go out and sell myself was based on what you would recommend to an extrovert, such as go out there, shake every hand in the room, put yourself out there, is a term I hear a lot. And I've always been very curious about ways to market a business that's more natural and authentic for somebody of an introverted personality disposition. So first of all, can you tell us, where would you put yourself on the scale of if introverts all the way over here and extroverts on the other extreme? Do you know approximately where you would fit in that spectrum?
So on the spectrum, I am definitely on the introvert side, which is funny because when you meet me and you talk to me, I'm very outgoing. So people don't typically expect that, but trust me, after I've had like 2 meetings in a day, it's time to like run home for a lunch break and a nap. And so I'm refueled and ready to go for the afternoon, which hope my customers don't have an issue with that. But that's what I'm doing. But I'm not to the far left side of the spectrum where I can't function with people, but I am the one that it drains me the more I talk to people and the more I'm around people, and I have to refuel throughout the day.
I mean, I know Carl Jung did a lot of studies on introverts and extroverts, and he said that I believe he said that there is no such thing as a pure introvert or a pure extrovert, except if it's a case of, I think he said, extreme psychosis or something like that. But I think that's
psychosis.
Yeah.
Good.
Hopefully not, at least not for me, none that I'll admit to. But I think that's one of the stereotypes that I hear a lot of times is people think that an introvert is somebody that never leaves the house and won't talk to anybody. But I've found that a lot of times people that are the most outgoing and engaging and are at the center of their communities are actually introverts.
Yep, that's very true.
Yeah.
Well, and from a marketing perspective, I have a very extroverted marketing structure for my business. So we get the majority of our business from sending letters through the mail. I hate that it's that way. We get a lot of referrals as well, but to be able to reach out to a small business owner that I can see has an issue in their social media pages and say, hey, I've checked out your pages. I know what they look like. Definitely love to sit down and chat with you about your marketing. That is our most valuable piece. But you can't just send a letter anymore. You have to pick up the phone and you have to follow it up. So that's something I do. And those calls are very tough for me. And I have to put rewards in place so I get through those. I get a cookie at the end of every call. It's great. But it's a very extroverted thing, but it's something I have to do in my business to make it thrive.
Yeah. Now, what, aside from making the phone calls and everything like that, would you say there's any other aspects of running or managing the business that you find particularly challenging?
Yeah, so a lot of business owners, just by their nature, they love to pick up the phone and they love to call people. I'm not great at being on the phone. And I find that in a lot of situations that it's easier for me to get more and better information through email than it is for me on the phone. So I really struggle with answering the phone and being consistent and getting everything I need while I'm on the phone with a client. And we're actually trying to improve that as we speak. So I have a personal assistant who makes the majority of my customer calls and takes great notes on what they're asking for, so that we do have that structure in place and somebody strong with it, but not necessarily me being strong with it.
Okay, no, that's good. Now, did you know when you talk about things like making phone calls and other types of activities, do you tend to batch those tasks or you do them all in one shot? Do you sprinkle them out throughout the day, or do you have a good system for managing how that workflow goes?
So I batch them out throughout the day. I use Google Calendars, and I love Google Calendars. And I just chunk out an hour, and I sit there for that hour, and I run through it. And I pretty much do it between like 11 and 12, so I can go to lunch right afterwards and just relax for a little bit after making all those calls. But that's just an easiest way to do it for me.
So you have a pretty good sugar buzz going by the end of the phone calls, I imagine.
Oh yeah.
There's cookie for each individual one.
The last phone calls where I'm crossing my finger for voicemail, because if they actually get me on the phone, I'm just a little wired and buzzed. So
Do you have a favorite kind of cookie?
I'm back and forth between Oreos and Chips Ahoy.
Okay, Oreos and Chips Ahoy.
Yep.
Yeah, I know Oreos are vegan, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure about Chips Ahoy, but
I don't think, I'm not sure.
yeah.
I'm not positive.
Double stuff Oreos or single stuff?
Single.
Single stuff,
Yep.
okay.
Because I'm healthy.
Yeah, well, see, when I was a kid, I used to take double stuffed Oreos and take two of them, put them together to make a quadruple stuffed Oreo.
So you're really going
Yes,
hardcore on
maximum
that one.
trans fat, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you on the flip side, we've talked about what's challenging about running a business. What do you find fun? What do you find the most enjoyable about doing your business?
Well, it's funny because the part that I love most about my business is the sales process. I love being able to help new business owners. I love seeing business owners succeed, and to say that we've done that is a small way to describe that. We have businesses that are brand new and are just thriving, and we're so happy for them, and that's the part I love. But the sending the letters and the closing the client, that's really the part I love the most. And then also being able, we now have a decent sized staff, and what I tell people is on my staff, for the things that I'm not an expert in, I have somebody on my staff helping me with that. So I have a public relations writer. She is so smart and knows exactly what she's doing when it comes to writing for the media, when I could write for the media, but it probably wouldn't be exactly what they want. And we have plenty of other people that are helping in those areas as well. And I love to see those people being able to enjoy life more and thriving and just loving their jobs. That was a big goal of mine when I started my company, is to have happy employees, because when I was working, I saw a lot of unhappy employees, and I saw a lot of salespeople that were fighting over leads and just silly things. And I have always strived to not be that company.
Yeah, I think there's also just a lot of different things that can come into play in terms of having the mindset that governs your company. I know we were just at the book club yesterday. We were talking about Jim Collins' Good to Great, and he had something called a culture of discipline. And it seems like that's one of the hallmarks of a culture of discipline, is you don't have the infighting and all the drama, because people are so focused on the vision that just over trumps everything else. Versus when people don't have anything better to do, they gossip and complain and all that fun stuff.
Well, and you need a diverse workplace. I worked somewhere that it was 100% women. No men worked there. And interesting business model, but everybody was fighting. And I don't know exactly what fueled that, but it wasn't a healthy work environment.
It's not much better in an all male environment, which I worked in before.
Yeah, too much testosterone.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's trying to fight to be the leader of the pack. And Yes. So what can you just maybe share a little bit more about what would you say have you found to be the most effective through the trial and error process that you've gone through in terms of growing your business? Have there been any big takeaways or lessons or ahas since you've opened it up back in 2014?
So big ahas. Get a good collections company. That was one of the big ahas.
Getting paid is a plus.
So we always do a payment plan with our small businesses where we do the work. We invoice halfway through the month. We invoice at the end, or it's due at the end of the month. And so that's always been an issue for us, and trying to figure out how things are going to work well together like that. But some of the other things we've learned, if your gut's telling you, if you're feeling some red flags about somebody and your gut's telling you, hey, maybe this isn't a good situation, it's probably a good time to run. Just in the nature of small businesses, things change so much on a daily basis for them. I've had clients see services because their husband's in the hospital, or because they were diagnosed with cancer, or because they were fighting child support, or things like that. And things are just going to change so much for them that you kind of have to be okay with that change in the business as well. And that's a big thing we've adapted to. But just being upfront and really following your gut is also a very good piece of advice too.
Following your gut is one that took me a long time to understand the importance of that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So, I mean, do you find that that's something that you rely on a day-to-day basis? Do you ever have any just moments where it's not necessarily clear by looking at the facts what decision there is to make, but you have a strong gut feel one way or the other?
Well, I've always had the strong gut, but I don't follow it, because I want to serve as many small businesses as I can, and I want to serve them the best I can. And unfortunately, that means a few times I've been in a situation where I'm working and not getting paid. And that's when a great collections team comes in place. But that's something I'm learning and implementing more. It's better to lose a client than to serve them and not be all in because you're not sure what's going to happen or they're not acting appropriately or things along those lines.
Now, negotiation is one of those things that I think kind of ties into what we're talking about for the collection side of things that I think introverts often struggle with, because the people that are more naturally extroverted seem to be able to project confidence naturally, which makes it a lot easier to ask not only for the price that's favorable, but also terms that are favorable and everything like that. Have you found that just looking at those collections, cash flow types issues, that setting up the contract and not even necessarily the contract, but the conversation leading up to the contract, have you found that there's any good strategies you have for managing the earlier parts of the conversation, I guess?
Yeah, so you can handle the early parts of the conversation as well as you can, and there's always one shady person. There's always the one crazy that's just gonna rack up a $6,000 bill and not pay it. And it happens, and you just have to kind of cut your losses and make a decision and do the best you can. However, that being said, our contracts at Abundant Marketing are very customer favored. So we have a clause in there that says if you're unhappy or something happens, give us 15 days notice, we'll let you out of your agreement. I don't want unhappy customers. I don't want them going out and telling people horrible things. And typically when people use that clause, it's rarely because they're unhappy with our service. It's more of my husband's in the hospital, I'm closing down my business, I got divorced and I'm moving, or things like that. Than it ever is really on that side of things. I would tell people to set up a very strong front end, really make sure your legal agreements are really hashed out very clearly. That will save you a lot of headache and a lot of heartache. In the situation where I had a client who still hasn't paid, I could have sued, but the contract was so fleshed out and so clear that there really wasn't a lot of conversation to be had. It was, this is what you agreed to, this is who agreed to pay it, and payment hasn't been made. There's really no need for a judgment on any side because the contract is clearly signed and clearly agreed upon. So having that clear contract at the front really does help out a lot. And that's a big thing that I tell people to do.
All right. Well, before we wrap up here, do you have any last thoughts or anything else you'd like to share with the audience about your experience or about your business?
Yeah, so I love being a small business owner. It is the best decision I have made in my life. Well, second to my husband, but it's a great decision.
In case he's listening, right?
Yeah, just in case he's listening. But I would tell anybody who has an itch to run their own business to do it. It is scary some days. It is phenomenal some days, and it's got its hard days too. But it's worth it. It's worth every minute, and there's a model for everybody. So if you say I don't like a lot of risk, I want something that's very stress-free, there's businesses for that. If you want a part-time business, there's businesses for that, and there's so much you can do. So if you are even considering it, I would definitely say it's worth it.
Great. So for those of you out in the audience, if you want to find out more about Abundant Marketing, they have a website. It's abundantmarketing.com.
It's
right?
abundantmarketingsm.com.
Abundantmarketingsm.com. And can you share your social media handles real quick? Where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find us anywhere. We're out there everywhere. Our biggest two that we use the most are going to be Facebook, and we're facebook.com/AbundantSMM, like social media marketing shortened. Same thing on Twitter, we're at AbundantSMM. And then LinkedIn, you can find our business page. Instagram, we are at AbundantSMM, I believe. I believe it's consistent across all of them. But check us out. Our Facebook is the page that we use the most. So like us, we'd love some new likes, and definitely share some of our posts too. We've got great content on there.
So for those of you out there that are considering starting your own business and may think you're too introverted, hopefully this is one more piece of proof sitting right here that you don't necessarily have to be all the way at the extreme end of the extrovert spectrum to be successful in business. And you can see, to me, you come across very confident, and so that's, I think, hopefully will give some of you out there some encouragement that may be considering taking this path. But again, till next time, this is Ashley Morrison, Abundant Marketing. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And hopefully we'll see you all tuning in on a future episode. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks.